This is Mr. Stefaniuk's classroom, and this is the Dancing Seagull. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you test your microphone before you start recording, because now I'm going to do the complete presentation again. At any rate, the plan for today is finalizing your essay. I want to get rid of all of my draft work that I was working on during my essay writing. I am going to Control A. I'm going to get rid of all the colors on there. We don't need the colors on there, do we? No, of course not. Control A again, and I'm going to change the font. Let's go nice standard font, Times New Roman, and not 18. I'm going to take that down to 12. Very standard font, Times New Roman 12. Use it and hand it in there. I'm going to make sure I don't have any extra room between my paragraphs by delete, or backspace. Get up to my previous paragraph and press enter. Okay, so now I have a very bare essay. Here is some more draft writing. Get rid of that as well. Backspace, bare essay. Moving up to my name at the top. Sure. This is me. Then I will put my class. Sure. Then I will put my teacher's name. Then I will put my date. What is the date? April. It'll come up automatically, won't it? 5. There we go. April 5, 2020. Okay. Press enter to give me room underneath. Frankly, I don't like all that extra space in between there. I'm going to delete all that space in between. How do I do that? Back up here, delete, shift enter, delete, shift enter, delete, shift enter. Now that looks a little bit cleaner. I prefer it like that. Title, Corona virus, distancing. Sure, just something. Keep it simple. Distancing, and then I throw that to the middle. I center my title. I wrote my title once I was completely done my essay, just so I don't refer to my title throughout my essay, because that is a very poor thing to do. You end up using proforms in your opening sentence, and that is a grade dropper. Next, I want to add a top looks good. Top looks good. Next, I want to add a works cited. I prefer to call it a works cited rather than a bibliography, because biblio means books, and I don't use books. We use the internet, so I'm going to works cited. No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy and paste a student's works cited in, and then I can show you all of the mistakes that is common for students to make. So I have Control A, Control Copy, and I will paste that right in the bottom of my essay. Control V, there we go. Now, your works cited will begin at the top of a new page. At the top of a new page, I will press Insert on the top here, and Pages, going to Page Break. Page break, giving me the top of a new page here. Works cited, like I say, prefer over bibliography. Capitalize that, please. Works cited, and plural. It's not work cited. There's more than one. See? 1, 2, 3, 4. Although, let's get rid of his 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. You do not have a numbered set in your works cited. However, you do want to have alphabetical order. Alphabetical order. So, beginning with A, moving on to, I'm going to back that up, press enter. Well, let's see what happens. And moving on to B, after after A, moving on to PO, and finally PUR at the end. There we go. All one big chunk of works cited. Let's double space that right off the bat so it's easier to see. I'm going to double space my works cited as well. Back to my home, double space. Okay, now it's very confusing, very difficult to see. Difficult to see where one ends and the next begins, so therefore I will use hanging indents. Your hanging indent will separate your entries in your works cited. I have my rulers showing, but I will show you how to, oh no, my rulers are missing. How can I do this without rulers? Well, let's just put our rulers back up. View. So I probably ended up in home here. I will click View, Show Ruler. So now I have the top ruler over here as well as the side ruler. To create a hanging indent, I have selected my works cited. I will grab the bottom arrow, which moves the whole thing around, I want to go to the number 1. The first little tab over, then drop it. So click and drag to the number 1 and drop it in. Grab the top arrow, click the top arrow and slide that back to the margin, giving us a lovely hanging indent. Now here's the deal with a works cited, especially in university. Once you're in higher level university classes, your professor probably knows these guys. He or she has been to conferences about molecular biology, and if your professor does not know these contributors, they probably at least have read the papers. So they quickly go down the side here and say, oh yeah, I know this guy, I know this guy, I know this guy. I don't know this entry, I'm not familiar with that. So then they will click it and then quickly review that person's research. So what we have done is we have, first of all, put the entries in alphabetical order by last name. We have included our hanging indent. I see some bold here and some funky formatting, so I'm going to get rid of all that funky formatting. We have messed up formatting with our font. Throw it all to Times New Roman. I'm going to make it all font size 12. There we go. And make it all bold and get rid of all the bold so that it is nice and clean formatting. Now I'm going to put at the end here so you can see the style. Last name, comma, first name, period. The title, period, which is in quotation marks, space after that. Then you're going to have the host, also called the container or the jar. And then we're going to have the year. It's not 19 something, it's 2020. Wow, that is a big date. It is 2020, comma, and finally your URL, period. Basically what you have are 3 sentences. Sentence 1 is last name, first name. Sentence 2 is the title. Sentence 3 is everything else. This is in bold. I want to get rid of the bold. Boop. There we go. Last name, have to let Took. One moment. There you go. Go away. She was sleeping nicely in the office, and now she's gone. Last name, first name, title. So we have last name, first name with a space, last name, comma, space, first name, period, a space. In quotation marks is your title with a period inside the quotation marks, then your host, comma, space, 2020, comma, space, URL. So let's go through and fix. Okay, we have several titling errors up on top here. Basically, I'm going to make another video for how to format your title. I'm just going to quickly go through and make corrections. Basically, you want to have consistency throughout all of your titling, and I noticed down here he has capitalized everything and underlined, which I will correct all of that. Period, quotation mark, space, capitalize that please, theguardian.com, space, and the URL, final period. Quickly on to number 2, period after last name, first name, space, and then quotation mark, fixing up our title. Now, does all this matter? Yes. Basically, every time you show me that you don't know how to format something, you lose a little bit of points. I'm not going to say it's like 1% for every mistake or something silly like that. It's I look at the whole idea of what you have done, and I assess your competency at creating a properly formatted works cited. Goal.com, nice and capitalized here, and a period at the end. Last name, first name. Now, we do not have a URL at the end here because this was his personal photograph. So that is excellent. Whenever there isn't information available, you just leave it blank. There will always be a title. If you cannot find a title, create your own title based on a good description. So don't say horse 1, horse 2, horse 3. What you should do is horse running through flowers, horse running through water, horse in the nighttime barn, whatever you like. But create titles that are very descriptive, just simply descriptive of your piece. On to here. Get rid of the underline by underlining all and then deleting that. Essentially sports, looks like it's all one word, space there, and period at the end. Okay, I believe this looks all right. Have I double spaced that? I think I've double spaced that, yeah. Home and double space, sure. That looks all right, and that looks like about it. I'll take a quick second look through. So I have gone through, and wait a minute, I found something I've done wrong here. You have to put your host, your jar, in italics. There we are. So we have essentiallysports.com in italics. We have goal.com. also in italics. Back up here to the Guardian is in italics. There we go. We have our works cited. And you know what? All these underlines, let's get rid of those underlines as well, shall we? Go and underline the whole thing and then remove the underlines from the whole thing. And now I believe we are good. Last name, first name, title, host, year, URL, quotation marks, and italics. There we are. There is your properly formatted works cited. At the end, beginning its own new page, looks like we have completed our essay. I will go back up the top, double space the whole thing. Yeah, and that is ready for submission, and here is your dancing seagull. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!